Hi, boys and girls. I'm back to read Chapter 5 to you of third grade Angels. Chapter 5 is called The Hat. Mom was right. Judy Billings didn't spit at me or say hello or look at me or anything in school today. In other words, she ignored me like she did every other day. Even when she dropped her pencil on the floor during silent reading and I picked it up and handed it to her, she didn't even say thank you. And my mother was right about the angel stuff, too. From the moment Mrs. Sims said, "Good morning, angels," and we all answered, "Good morning, Mrs. Sims," you could feel the angel buzz in the air. Darren Tapp, who never says please or thank you, raised his hand and said, "Mrs. Sims, may I please go to the bathroom?" And when Darren came back, Missy Haverbeck, who is the shyest person in class, whispered to him when he went past her desk, "Your fly is open." All day long, pleases and thank yous and pardon me's were flying around like bees at a picnic. A lot of who did it's too, because for the first time, all eyes were on Mrs. Sims' desk. Sitting right there was an apple, a really big red apple, a really big red polished apple, buffed to shine like it was a new car. Whispers raced up and down the aisles. Who did it? Who did that? Who put that up there? Nobody knew except me. As the whispers were flying around, I was doing my usual thing in my seat behind Judy Billings, staring at her perfect, uncovered right ear. I started to notice something. The perfect curve at the top of the ear was getting pink, then red. The whispers were flying and Judy Billings was blushing. Aha, I thought. The apple came from her. Some of Judy Billings' blush sank into my chest. We shared a secret. I closed my fist and made a vow. Nothing, not 100 spiders or torture by tickling or 10 Gerald Willises would ever make me rat her out. During silent reading, Mrs. Sims was writing something. It was hard to concentrate on my book. I kept looking up at her. So did everybody else. We were all wondering the same thing. Is she writing something about me? Perfect in every way. I kept remembering what Judy Billings said about angels yesterday. And that's what we were today. Perfect in every way. We sat straight in our chairs. We raised our hands for every question. We stood to give our answers and were quiet as mice the rest of the time. I kept reminding myself to keep my lip buttoned and not blurt out stuff like I did yesterday. Only Joey was bad. He kept making noises and funny faces. He was trying to make us laugh, but nobody did. Even in the lunchroom, we were perfect. Everybody smiled at the lunch ladies and said thank you whenever they handed us something. And everybody chewed with their mouth shut except Joey. Then came afternoon recess. It was a warm and sunny day, but really windy. Swings were flapping when nobody sat on them. Basketball shots were curving. Besides the wind, everything was going pretty normal until a yellow baseball cap came flying onto the playground. On the other side of the fence, a lady in a sweatsuit was stopped, jogging in place. She was pointing at her hat, which had blown off and landed right amongst a bunch of third graders. For a second, nobody moved. And then it hit us all at once. Good deed. About 10 of us pounced on that hat. There were so many hands, the best I could do was grab somebody's wrist. We were wrenching and pulling and twisting 10 different ways. I got it. No, I got it. Let go. I was first. Ow! Suddenly, we all snapped apart like a broken wishbone. Eddie Shank was holding the rim of the cap. Diana Briggs was holding the rest. And somebody said, uh-oh. Everybody just stared at the hat pieces, except Joey, who was laughing. A screech came from the sidewalk. You little hoodlums! The jogger lady kicked the chain link fence and started running. Mrs. Sims was standing at the doorway, watching. Silence in the classroom. The 2 pieces of yellow hat sat on Mrs. Sims' desk. In between them was the apple. That was disgraceful, said Mrs. Sims. Very unangelic behavior. Judy Billings raised her hand. Mrs. Sims didn't call on her, but Judy stood up and spoke anyways. But I didn't do it. I was just watching. It sounded like she might cry. Mrs. Sims didn't even look Judy's way. Judy sat down. You're all guilty, said Mrs. Sims. You're guilty of doing it. You're guilty of watching and doing nothing to stop it. How many of you went over to the lady and told her you were sorry for the bad behavior of your classmates? No hands. Didn't think so. You're guilty of that too. She looked at us like we were burnt toast. Angels? Ha! This may be the first class where nobody gets a halo. Angels? You were no better than a pack of sharks after a piece of meat. Joey burst out laughing. Button it, Peterson, said Mrs. Sims. Joey buttoned it. The rest of us stopped breathing. I guess it was all just words, huh? Said Mrs. Sims. Angel talk? No angel do? This? She held up a half of each part of the hat in her hand. Will never happen again. Her eyes went up and down the rows, zapping each of us with a, yeah, you glare. She put the halves down. Got it? No sounds came from us, just boggled and nods.